It remains for me to enunciate my energies are affected towards a person. As I am to inherit this estate after the death of your honored father, I cannot satisfy myself without resolving to choose a wife for one of his daughters, that the burden may be as little as possible after the melancholy demise takes place, which I hasten to add should not be for several years.
Most generous.
I cannot be otherwise. As to fortune, I am perfectly indifferent, so I shall make no demand upon your father on that regard. And now, my dear Miss Elizabeth, nothing remains for me but to assure you in the most animated language of the violence of my affection.
Sir, you are too hasty. You forget that I have made you no answer. Allow me to do so now. Please accept my thanks for the compliments you have paid me, but it is impossible for me to accept your proposals.
I understand.
Thank you for that.
Apart, I am in no way discouraged. It is, I believe, usual for young ladies to reject. At first, to the man they simply need to accept.
I assure you, I am not one of those ladies. You could not make me happy, and I'm convinced that I am the last woman in the world who could make you so.
You are uniformly charming, and I may well hope that when solicited by both your excellent parents, that my proposals will not fail of being acceptable.
Your hope is an extraordinary one in light of my declaration. Why do you insist on disbelieving me?
Firstly, I cannot believe my hand is unworthy of your acceptance. And secondly, I observe your financial situation to be so unhappy as to deter any romantic rivals. I therefore conclude that you are not serious with your projection and merely wish to increase my love by suspense, as common practice by young, elegant females.
Really, Mr. Collins, if what I have said can appear to you as encouragement, then I know not how to state my refusal in such a way as might convince you of its being one. My feelings in every regard forbid an alliance with you. I cannot speak more plainly.
Oh, Mr. Collins, allow me to tell you that the prospect of our closer connection permeates me with pleasure.
I am euphoric to the marrow. However, there is one impediment.
And that is?
My declaration has been refused.
Refused?
I judge it a feminine strategy.
Mr. Bennet, you are wanted immediately. Lizzie will be brought to see reason, Mr. Collins. She is a headstrong, foolish girl who does not know her own position. I will make her know it.
Forgive me, but if she is headstrong and foolish, perhaps we should not force her acceptance. After all, I wish for some happiness in the marital state.
Mr. Collins, you quite misunderstand me. Lizzie is only headstrong in matters such as these. In every other matter, she is as sweet-tempered a girl as ever lived. Mr. Bennet, we are in an uproar. You must insist that Lizzie marry Mr. Collins, for she vows she will not have him.
I have not the pleasure of understanding you.
Elizabeth Bennet, your father wishes to speak to you. Oh, and now Mr. Collins begins to say he will not have Lizzie.
And pray, what am I to do on the occasion?
Make her marry Mr. Collins.
Come here, child. I understand that Mr. Collins has made you an offer of marriage. Is it true?
Yes, Father.
And this offer you have refused.
I have, sir.
Your mother insists upon you accepting it. Is it not so, Mrs. Bennet?
Yes, and I shall never see her again.
Child, an unhappy alternative is before you. From this day forward, you must be a stranger to one of your parents. Your mother will never see you again if you do not marry Mr. Collins. And I will never see you again if you do.
Stop it! I tell you, Lizzie, I do not know what will become of you if you take it into your head to refuse every offer of marriage in this way. I do not know who will take care of you after your father is dead.
I shall be at my study while you ponder your decision.
Mr. Collins!
Madam, upon reflection, I feel certain pains of doubt as to my felicity. Should my dear cousin accept, you will, I hope, not consider me showing any disrespect if I withdraw any pretensions to her favor.
But Mr. Collins, you are not leaving us.
Oh, not at all. My visit was to be until Saturday, and until Saturday I need to remain. I am solicited to dine with Sir William and Lady Lucas, and am transferring to Miss Charlotte Lucas a collection of choice servants, to which she expressed to study under my tutelage.
The Lucases are artful indeed. It pains me to say it, but so it is. But what frustrates me infinitely more is being thwarted in such a manner by my own flesh and blood. Nobody in this house cares for my nerves. Oh, but it is always so. Those who do not complain are never pitied.
I take it you refuse Mr. Collins. I'm afraid that our dear mother's best hopes for one of her daughters must remain with you, Jane. Jane, what is it?
It's from Miss Caroline Bingley. She writes that we've left Netherfield by now and with no intention of returning.
But why?
Mr. Darcy is eager to see his sister.
And I dare say my brother is scarcely less eager to meet her again. Charles admires Georgiana Darcy so very much. Now he shall frequent seeing her on the most intimate of footings. Darcy and all of his relations wish the connection just as much as us.
Is it wrong, my dearest Jane, to indulge in hope of an event that would bring happiness to so many?
Oh, Jane. I think that Caroline Bingley sees all too plainly how her brother adores you, intends to propose, and she wants him to marry Georgiana Darcy.
Surely a sister can only wish for her brother's happiness.
She may wish for many things besides Charles' happiness. And can there be a doubt that she indulges a hope and schemes of her own alliance with Mr. Darcy?
Rather than to suppose selfish motive, I much prefer to see it in its best light. That it was an error of fancy on my half, and has done harm to no one but myself. But Lizzie, what if he doesn't come back?
He must come back. He won't be able not to.
Jane, your father and I have decided to allow you to accept your Aunt Gardner's invitation and spend several months with her and my brother in London.
Mother, I didn't know that I was invited to London.
Do not worry about that, my dear. My letter will be on its way to London tomorrow, and your father can take you as soon as you are ready.
Oh, thank you, Mother.
Well, Mamma, you certainly don't believe that marriages are made in heaven.
From what I know of men, my dear, if we left it up to them and heaven, we should all be old maids.
Find women as soon as you can, and bring her to Hunsford. Those were Lady Catherine de Bourgh's exact words. And now, my dear Miss Lucas, nothing remains for me but to assure you of the violence of my affection.
I know your feelings about Mr. Collins, Eliza. I am not a romantic. I never was. I bring but small fortune to a marriage, and I possess unexceptional beauty. I am convinced that my chance of happiness with Mr. Collins is as much as most women can expect upon entering the marriage state. I hope you will be satisfied with what I have decided and find it in your heart to come and visit us at Hunsford Parsonage. I should be heartbroken if this business posed a risk to our friendship.
Charlotte.
Elizabeth.
I have been used to thinking of Charlotte Lucas as a tolerably sensible person, but I find that she is just as foolish as my wife, more foolish than my daughters. And Mr. Bingley had been gone. When is your turn to be crossed in love, Lizzie? Perhaps Mr. Wickham is your man. He is here very often.
Mr. Wickham is, by all comparison, the most agreeable man I ever saw, but he shall not be in love with me if I can prevent it.
You are far too cautious, my dear. Mr. Wickham is a pleasant fellow and would judge you credibly.
Ah, Miss Bennet.
Mr. Wickham.
You see, it's best I come to the point without delay. I've engaged to Miss Mary Clean. I hope you will not think less of me.
Bright, handsome young men without resources must make their way in the world as best they can. Miss King is every bit as agreeable as she is wealthy.
I thank you. Sincerely. Had circumstances been different, I might have...
You mean, had My father produced a son to inherit his estate, or had the late Mr. Darcy not produced one to inherit his?
Yes, something along those lines.
I should very much like to think that different circumstances might have produced a changed outcome.